Welcome to the SNHS college panel, where we be featuring the top performing STEM institutions in America. So we be basically listing a lot of different colleges, from competitive ones to not competitive ones. Um, Basically just talking about the STEM opportunities they have, the acceptance rate, and what opportunities they have that will benefit you if you actually are considering that college. But also, if you're not upperclassmen, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, this is a great time to get exposed to colleges that you may be applying to in the future. So, okay, so let's get started.
Okay, so before we sort of start talking about any university, we all know what STEM stands for. Brooklyn Tech is a leading, high school in the STEM field. We all know that it's a really diverse profession. Well, they lead to diverse professions. And America has one of the leading institutions like in the world in general in any fields, but in particularly like if you look at STEM, we have universities that are top tier, as Brian said, and also those who are not as competitive but are just as equally as good. And you have to keep in mind that getting into any of these either elite institutions doesn't guarantee you success in the future. I think that's something that the seniors sort of come to realize when they start filling their 50 applicants, just kidding, but like a lot of the applications, they start realizing that there's value in the programs, not necessarily in the name. So that's just like as a full sort of disclaimer, I guess. Like, we're not trying to promote anything here. We're just trying to show some of the best programs and, sort of exposing you to that. If you're upperclassman and you're applying next year, then good luck. And then if you're just an underclassman, this is definitely something to keep in mind as you go through your high school years. Okay, so we can start now. Okay, so the first university that we wanted to mark off is Princeton University. It's located relatively close to where we are, in Princeton, New Jersey. The undergraduate size is around 5,500 people. Like we said before, Princeton University is technically considered an Ivy League university, and it has a low acceptance rate of 6%. And the graduation rate is relatively high of a full 98%. And as any elite institution, it definitely has a hefty cost on it. It's roughly $73,500 for a yearly tuition. So one unique thing about Princeton is that the Center for Career Development is really active with its applicants, like future applicants. So in our case, it would be us high school students, in just trying to help them see how Princeton could be an asset to their future careers. So they definitely offer a lot of programs for high school students, and also offer a lot of reps to go to high schools just to sort of expose high school students to what they can do with a Princeton education. And just as useful as it is for high school students, also useful for undergrads and graduate students once, if you get into that university. It definitely helps them, help them see what they could pursue outside of academia. So one highlight of Princeton is that every single senior has to write a mandatory thesis paper. So if you do get in and you end up being a graduate, in order to get your diploma, you actually have to write a thorough 50-page or more thesis paper pertaining to your major or any research project that you've done, which definitely exposes you to whatever field you are trying to pursue. And it's mostly known for its social sciences, like most of the Ivy League universities are, along with its biological and biomedical engineering programs when we look at STEM specifically. Okay. Next one. So this one's a relatively popular one, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, otherwise known as MIT. It is the leading university in STEM around the world. It's located in Massachusetts, so in the northeastern area. Its undergrad size is also roughly 5,500 students. It also has a relatively low acceptance rate of 7%. The graduation rate is roughly 93%, and it also has a relatively large cost of $73,000 a year. So one of its largest programs for high school students would be the Knox Scholars Program, which is a 2-year program that involves hands-on lab experience for biology, specifically for high school students. And it also just helps these low-income high school students set a foundation for whatever they're going to study in the future. But apart from this, they also have the RSI program. So it's the research program for rising seniors, and also other connections that you could do once you graduate, and once you're going to be a rising freshman in college. And MIT is definitely known for the way it connects with its students and just the way it allows them to advance both as students and as people. So one thing that's unique as for the college in general is that, again, sorry for the background noise, it has a blend of humanities programs as well as STEM majors, and they pride themselves in having a lot of the students intertwine their majors into those two specific fields. Most notably, they're known for engineering and physical sciences, so chemistry and physics specifically, and astrophysics. And what's cool about them is that they reach out, like I said before, to not only potential applicants, but also to the world. They have a really cool YouTube channel where they just talk about their experiments or some of the things that are going on campus right now in terms of research. And they actually have a lot going on in terms of their solutions and their efforts to help the COVID pandemic. And just as, like I said before, they're a top performing research institution, and they have unique brain research institutes, clinical research, environmental engineering labs, and other separate laboratories that help their students on campus dive into unique subjects such as glassmaking, electrical circuiting, and art in their free time. So this is definitely something to look forward to if you plan on going to this university and if you get accepted. Okay, so the next one is the California Institute of Technology, also known as Caltech, or the MIT of the West Coast. Yeah, that's a nickname. So Caltech really strives to reach out to like a lot of students from kindergarten to 12th grade, in mostly some like STEM workshops that they have. Obviously, it's in California. It's in Pasadena, California. So obviously, we don't necessarily have that access to it. But now they actually have virtual programs and like videos and tutorials and stuff. So it's definitely something to look into on their website if you're interested in that. But particular for STEM and for families, they offer weekly classes, summer workshops, public lectures, and an annual open house for both its potential students as well as just visitors. And it's known for its mathematics and computer science programs. They're also really prominent for their space research. And just as a couple of basic stats, their undergraduate size is relatively smaller in comparison to other universities will list. It's roughly 2,200 students. It's also really competitive to get in. It has a 6% acceptance rate. The graduation rate is 93%, and the average cost is roughly $55,000 a year. Okay, we can go on. Okay, now we all know this one probably. Stanford University. So Stanford University technically has the lowest acceptance rate of any college in America. It's located in Stanford, California. It has roughly 7,000 undergrads every year. Its acceptance rate is 4%. That's why it's relatively hard to get in. Its graduation rate is 94%, and its average cost is around $75,000. It's definitely a trend you'll see in these top performing universities. The cost is relatively high, so keeping that in mind if you plan on applying there. So Stanford, what's awesome about Stanford is that they recognize the educational barriers that exist in the current K-12 education system that is present across all states in America. And they have a lot of equity and inclusion initiatives to help them sort of reach out to younger students, younger scientists, younger STEM enthusiasts, and connect them with professors on campus. So if specifically for high school programs, they have a lot of medical research programs. So if you're interested in pre-med or anything related to biological engineering, they have a lot of summer courses, like actual lecture halls and lab experiences. But most of the deadlines have passed. So if you want to apply next year, it's definitely something to consider. Stanford in particular is known for its top performing graduate and post-college schools. So it's law school, it's business school, it's medical schools. And a unique feature is that as an undergraduate student, if you do study there, again, this is California, so it's relatively far away from New York City. But if you do study there, you get to connect with the professors from those separate schools that are post undergrad. and you get to conduct research or just honestly network with them, which is definitely important if you're considering getting a job right out of college or just gaining more experience in those fields. And specifically, it's known for computer science, engineering, specifically like as with the aerospace engineering programs, and its medical research. And one thing that's really notable about Stanford is sort of the entrepreneurial spirit that most of its students have, and just the atmosphere that's created at Stanford. They really pride themselves in creating a strong family on campus, even though, so it's like a small home away from home, since a lot of their students obviously don't uh, live there. And they actually have, even though they have a small percentage of people from the Northeast, which is where we're from, they still accept a lot of people across America. So that's why they pride themselves. It's going to be their home from home. Okay. Um, so next one is Johns Hopkins University. It's on the East Coast. It's in Baltimore, Maryland. So it's next to DC. The undergrad size is roughly 6,200 students. Its acceptance rate is also competitive. It's 11%. Its graduation rate is 92%, and the average cost is around $31,000, which is cheaper than most of the universities we've talked about before. So it offers a lot of STEM programs in 22 different engineering and science fields in its various research facilities, and it networks with high school students. But first and foremost, the thing that Johns Hopkins is known for is the fact that it was the first research university in America. And it still continues to be the leading research expert, specifically in the medical field. And its medical school is also one of the top 5 medical schools in America. So if pre-med is your thing, this definitely should be on your radar. And some specific fields that they're known for are neuroscience, public health, general education, cellular and molecular biology, biological engineering, biomedical engineering, and chemical engineering.
All right, so now we have UC Berkeley. So it's located in California and it has around 32,000 students. Its acceptance rate is 16% with a 92% graduation rate, and the average cost for a yearly tuition would be around 44,000. So UC Berkeley is renowned for the rigorous academic standards of its undergraduate programs, and it's really known for its vast programs, as they have 130 academic departments and also 80 interdisciplinary research fields. And then they're also divided into 5 colleges and 1 school, which is on the overview. They're also a public university and they have a pretty diverse student body.
Okay, so Vanderbilt is located in Nashville, and as many of you know, Nashville is known for its country music. Um, it's uh, it's near the south, so it's also quite warm too. It has a size of 6,900 undergrads, uh, acceptance rate of 9%, so it's a very selective school. Uh, Graduation rate of 92%, so it's up there. Average cost is 20,000, so this can range actually from 20,000. It can be lower, it can be 70,000. For every one of these schools, it's circumstantial, so it's based on the financial aid that they will give you based on the CSS profile that you file. And 20,000 is actually quite on the low end of Vanderbilt. Um, it's it can come up to actually 80,000 sometimes, depending. But if you apply early, like December 1st, they have this scholarship consideration, and they give out a lot of scholarships too. So about, I think, 200 students get the scholarship. So it is pretty it is quite competitive, but that's actually a lot of scholarships compared to other universities. And those range from maybe like half tuition, full tuition, sometimes a couple of thousand, but anything helps with tuition. So some of the STEM majors and features of the school are the CSEO STEM Club, which encourages STEM students to develop scientific endeavors in modern fields. Um, Further, Vanderbilt offers free STEM courses for undergraduates to enroll in courses that further their knowledge in their major, such as an introduction to evidence-based undergraduate STEM teaching. So they have quite the resources for STEM. And so I read a blog when I was researching Vanderbilt before applying. I actually applied to Vanderbilt. So before applying, I read a blog on their website. It's called The Pre-Med Exam Cycle by Parker Kenny. And he's a current student, junior. He's a current junior at Vanderbilt. So in it, he shared an anecdote of professors spacing out exams so students would not have both a biology exam and an organic chemistry exam in the same week. So what I saw from this was the clear desire on the professor's behalf for their students to succeed. It showcased a cooperative academic atmosphere I believe to be extremely valuable in a college. And that's one of the main reasons why I chose to consider Vanderbilt in my application process.
All right, so next up we have Brandeis, and they're in Massachusetts. And so they have around roughly 6K students with 33% acceptance rate and an 89% graduation rate. The average cost for yearly tuition would be around $38,000, and they have over 10 STEM-related general majors for undergraduates, and they're dedicated to extending their rigorous academic standards to those seeking to advance their fields after undergrad. So they also have their graduate professional studies also offers over 11 programs for master's degrees and graduate programs.
Yeah, and also just as a note, I have a family member who went to this university, or a family friend, and she was able to take more of humanities route and combine it with the STEM programs in that university, and she definitely loved her experience there. So Brandy's does a really great job trying. Sorry for that background noise. It does a really great job connecting. It's like making sure that its students have both of those experiences. Considering that in college you might not necessarily know what you want to do in life, so having exposure to all of that is definitely something that it's known for.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. This university has quite a large Jewish population, and the student body is definitely something you want to look into, and you want to take in consideration. Emory is also one too that has a lot of resources for the Jewish population, and that can be a factor in choosing where to apply to for some people.
All right, so next up we have Duke. So they're located in Durham, and they have around 16,000 students with a 9% acceptance rate and 95% graduation rate. The average cost would be around 23,000, and so they're divided into 10 schools and colleges, many of which serve both undergraduate and graduate students. And in its graduate programs, they include the highly ranked Pratt School of Engineering, School of Medicine, School of Nursing, and more. And so the most popular majors in Duke right now would include computer science, economics, bio, psychology, nursing, and many more. All right, so now we have Harvey Mudd. It's located in California with around 861 students. Acceptance rate would be 12% and then a 93% graduation rate. They have around a 33K average cost for yearly tuition. And so the Harvey Mudd curriculum integrates vigorous STEM and liberal arts courses to educate talented scientists, engineers, and mathematicians. So they promote a combined education of both liberal arts and STEM. And to do this, their curriculum involves 3 parts. So they first require students to start with a Common Core class, which would prepare them for a broad education background. And then they would also have their students take various courses of humanities and social science classes. And then the major, which the students would choose, would be more skills-based and experimental. And so their majors right now include biology, chem, computer science, engineering, mathematics, physics, and more. All right, now we have Rice University. So it's located in Houston, Texas, with around a 7K student population. They have around a 15% acceptance rate and 93% graduation rate with an average cost of around 21K. The most popular majors at Rice University right now are STEM majors, and they include computer and information sciences, mechanical engineering, cognitive science, economics, and biochem. So the Rice Office of STEM Engagement Our STEM also serves as a single point of contact for all STEM-related outreach and educational efforts at Rice University. So they also provide various extra scholar programs for K-12 students, undergrads, and also graduates.
So now moving on to Dartmouth College. It's a part of one of the 8 Ivy League universities in America. It's located in Hanover, New Hampshire. And it has roughly 7,000 students in its undergrad population. The acceptance rate, just as any selective university, is low, of an 8%. The graduation rate is of a 96%, and it costs roughly $31,000 a year in tuition. It has over 23 STEM-related programs that branch out to various subject fields, and it's also very open in allowing their students to spill over different disciplines. So in terms of like humanities and STEM, it's known for its social science programs, biological science programs, and computer and information sciences. And one unique thing about Dartmouth is that it has a really like tight-knit community within like between its professors and students. And they offer a lot of like fun and diverse campus events, despite its relatively sectioned off location. And the environment is known to promote growth in various fields. So the professors are and the faculty are really invested in making sure that their students get all the possible resources they can. Again, despite the location not being in a city where it's typically associated to have a lot of opportunities.
Okay, this is the University of Michigan, and it's quite a well-known, prestigious university. It's located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with a size of 31,200 students, which is that's in a large side. It's a public institution, which is why it's that big. Public institutions are, when people hear that word public, they tend to stay away from it. But the University of Michigan is actually a T20. I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if I'm correct, a T20 or like a T30, top 30 university in rankings, and it makes it one of the best public institutions in the US. And so if size is something you're considering, 31,000 students is quite a lot, but that also means there's a lot of resources for those students. And also the endowment for University of Michigan is large, it's huge. It's UCLA is also a very popular uh, public institution under the UC system, University of California system, but its endowment is not as big as University of Michigan's. So if you're considering which public, if you want to apply to a public, you can take that into consideration. So the acceptance rate is 23%. So it's a very competitive. Graduation rate is 91%. Average cost is 16,000. So the average cost, 16,000, that will be mostly for in-state. It's a public institution, so they look at out of state, in-state. So if you live in Michigan, if you're a resident, yeah, it would be that low. So it would be even lower than that sometimes, 7,000. It would be to us, it's like a SUNY. So University of Michigan is like a SUNY to people that live in Michigan. And people live in Michigan also get priority choice in going to University of Michigan. So a lot of people applying would be from Michigan because first of all, it's cheaper for them, but also because the acceptance rate is a lot higher for them too. But that doesn't mean that other people don't apply. A lot of people from New York apply, from California, everywhere. So University of Michigan is kind of a global institution. So the STEM majors and features include so they offer the MSTEM academics program, which strengthens and diversifies the number of undergrad students pursuing degrees in STEM by offering career panels and guidance on campus. So I would like to read something that I saw from, it's another blog post that I saw from the website. It's called A Day in My Life at University of Michigan, Remote Classes Edition. So we can see how an institution not only operates under normal circumstances, but also under a pandemic. See how well they adapt. So it's by Mariam Masood, which is a current student, a current junior. So what struck me as most significant and unique about it was how candid she was as she went over her schedule, detailing her busy schedule without a hint of glamorization, sharing how she embraced new experiences on the daily while also taking into consideration the circumstances of a pandemic as well. I finished the blog entry feeling informed as opposed to unrealistically inspired or nervous about taking on the opportunity myself. So to me, an extremely valuable attribute to have in academics um, is this, not glamorizing, not making your experience intimidating for other people, making it open, especially medicine. And honesty and cooperation is something that is very important in a college campus.
So next up, we have Cooper Union for the advancement of science and art. So it's located in Manhattan, New York City. So I think it's by Astor Place or by East Village, somewhere near there, but their size is roughly around 900 students with a 15% acceptance rate and 90% graduation rate. Their average cost is around 16,000, and they offer summer programs to extend research in fields of mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, mathematics, and also physics in their own facilities and labs. And so they're really well known for their exceptional education in architecture, art, and also engineering.
Okay, so next up we have Purdue University, which is located in West Lafayette, Indiana. It's a very large university, just like University of Michigan, 33,600 students. It has a acceptance rate of 60%. So this one would be, to a lot of tech students, a match. So it would be a great choice to consider. And definitely consider also applying because of the student body, which is a large percent they accept is international, which makes it a very diverse university. It has a graduation of 76% and an average cost of 13,000. So it's a very affordable university. So some of the features and majors include 10 STEM majors that each rank top 10 in the nation respectively. We have aeronautical engineering, biological engineering, analytical chemistry, aviation, civil engineering, computer engineering, electrical engineering, industrial engineering, and mechanical engineering. So those are all majors that if you have interest in, a lot of engineering majors. So if you plan on pursuing engineering, definitely consider Purdue. And also if you know of the Purdue basketball team, they always play in the March Madness. Yeah, competition, championship. So they have a very good sports team there. So if sports is something you consider, maybe Purdue is for you. Okay, so next we have Georgia Institute of Technology, or in short GIT. It's located in Atlanta, Georgia, with a size of 30,000 people, acceptance rate of 23%, graduation rate 86%, and average cost of 15,000. So some of the majors features that I showcased it's a top ranking public college. That's one thing to emphasize, a public college, one of the leading research universities in the US. Georgia Tech has a wide variety of technologically focused majors and minors consistently earn strong national rankings. They have 6 colleges and 28 schools focusing on business, computing, design, engineering, liberal arts, and sciences. So they have like everything. So no matter what you're trying to focus on, they probably have it. And it's a very diverse school in terms of academics, student body, and yes, everything.
Okay, so before we go into talking about this university, I sort of wanted to touch upon the points that Ethan and Brian brought up before. So you can notice that Brian has done a lot of research before applying to colleges. He definitely didn't take that process lightly. That's something that is a general note to understand that, you shouldn't be applying just because a name sounds good or because you think it's good. You should be able to do the research and see if that school is a fit for you. And also, he noted, reading about how the schools are adapting to the pandemic, and that's really important because we don't know how much longer we're going to be in this situation. So understanding how campus life looks like, or just how remote learning looks like as you continue in your academic careers is really important. And another thing about Cooper Union. So Ethan mentioned its strong architecture and civil engineering programs. Just as a note, it does have a summer program related to those fields for high school students, and a lot of tech students do apply and they get in. They also have a research program for biological engineering if everyone is interested in that. And a lot of students actually do apply to this university and they get in and they thrive there if you're interested in anything related to, industrial design or architecture. And lastly, I think Brian mentioned sports. So if you are a great student athlete, that's definitely a way to sort of curve the tuition costs if you're able to get a scholarship, or, depending if you're in D1 or D2, that's another issue. But if you are, you could definitely try and apply to as an athlete and maybe get some money out of that. Okay, so on to Northwestern. It's located in Evanston, Illinois. It has a undergrad population of roughly 18,000. It's also really selective. It has an acceptance rate of 8%, graduation rate of 94%, and the average cost is roughly $25,000 a year. So it has a lot of opportunities for enrichment in STEM education, and they also believe in creating small groups for learning in order to supervise that sort of science curriculum that they have. And they're known for their artistic and communicative fields, as well as the research in the math fields, and some specific / unique areas of concentration that are particular to Northwestern are econometrics, quantitative economics, journalism, psychology. They also have a really strong political science program as well as a neuroscience program.
Okay, so next up we have a university that is well known among every student in New York, Stony Brook University. It's located in Stony Brook, New York. It has a size of about 25,000, acceptance rate of 42%, a graduation rate of 72%, and an average cost of 15,000. So I want everyone to note that it is a SUNY. So for us, it would probably be lower than 15,000. And even for out of state, Stony Brook and the SUNY system is very, very generous because they get a lot of aid from the city of New York, but also New York State. So here's some of the majors and features. The Institute for STEM Education, ISTEM, at Stony Brook is a major interdisciplinary STEM education center and has established a wide range of academic year and summer activities for faculty, graduate students, undergraduates, and K to 12 students and teachers. iSTEM provides comprehensive, high-quality STEM education that advances knowledge in the field. So I really recommend everyone applies to Stony Brook. Even if you're on the edge of it, on the fence about it, you really should apply because first of all, it's close. It's close to home, but it's a place where you can dorm. So it's not too far, but you'll be in campus because you probably won't be living around Stony Brook. You probably be living on campus, and the cost is really good. So in case something happens when you're applying, maybe your family income all of a sudden changes and your financial aid doesn't reflect that. So applying to Stony Brook is a good safety match. It could be a reach for some people. That's fine, whatever it is. It's a good thing to have a SUNY on your application. And the acceptance rate, it's very good, 42%. So it's a really good university to consider. And also the student body, it has a majority of white, but also Asian. So I have a friend who actually looks at student body, and when they saw Asian, they actually felt more comfortable with it instead of a predominantly white institution, which is perfectly fine. It's up to you to decide what university you want to attend. If that's what you're looking at, that should not be the main concern. But if that's a factor, of course you have to take into consideration. So yeah, so it has a high Asian population. And one of the most well-known things about this uni compared to others, it's health professions. So there's a lot of people coming out of here who become nurses, doctors. Med school is very accessible. A lot of people get into med school from the school, but since it's quite large in size, it could also be quite competitive. So that's something you want to look at too. And I think there's a hospital right across from it that a lot of people talk about. It's good for internships, volunteering. So yeah, good access to a nearby hospital. Oh, wait, hold on. Was I showing Stony Brook?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, Stony Brook is definitely something to consider if pre-med is something that you're interested in, and it has a really long lasting reputation of public health majors and successful pre-med students. So the next university is Carnegie Mellon University. It's located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It has an undergrad size of roughly 14,000. It's also really selective, has about 16% of an acceptance rate and a 90% graduation rate with a $33,000 average cost per year. So CMU is really known for sort of expanding out and having people come to its facilities and talk. They have a lot of great speakers there in the fields of STEM, and they encourage a lot of students to connect with them before they sort of apply. And the university in particular is known for its software, math, and marketing / management majors, although it's really strong in general engineering as well. And a really appealing factor of Carnegie Mellon is that it has an extensive choice in programs with over 90 majors and minors with 6 different undergraduate colleges and schools.
All right, so finally we have Stevens Institute of Technology. So it's located in Hopkins in New Jersey, and so its size is around 6,000, roughly 6,300 students with a 40% acceptance rate and an 83% graduation rate. The average cost for yearly tuition would be around 38,000. So they have Launchpad, which is an extensive multi-year program that is specifically designed to help students perform original work and sort of build their own products and systems and start scales for entire companies. So Launchpad leverages the agility and power of technology and innovation to create positive change and transform society by using the power of STEM innovation to address global challenges. So the key schools in Stevens are business, engineering, and art. And I also have a friend who goes to Stevens, and she said that selling points for Stevens would definitely be the campus, the career focus, and extra scholar programs. So Stevens is actually just across the Hudson River. So you can see the Manhattan skyline at night. So it's pretty cool too.
Okay, so before we open up to questions, you can actually drop questions in the chat right now if you want. But I want to go over some of the application process. I know there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores here, so you won't really have to worry about this until your junior year, or even your senior year. But it's always great to have a head start. So the SAT, as you guys know, is becoming less and less of as a deciding factor for colleges. Before, the reason why colleges actually used the SAT was because it kind of weeded out a lot of people from applying. It made a lot of people not apply to the top institutions in the US. So like the Ivy Leagues saw a huge increase in applications this year because it all became SAT optional. And when it becomes SAT optional, a lot of people who had maybe SAT scores that weren't on par with their standards or requirements of the Ivy Leagues they didn't apply because they kind of figured that they wouldn't really have a chance, which is not true, because the competitive schools actually look at every part of your application, and they have been doing this for some hundreds of years, 100 years, some less, but they're very good at calling bluff on some things. So admission officers are very good at knowing if you lie. I don't know how they do it, but they know how to do their job very well. And they also look at every part of the application, which is one of the benefits of attending a college in the US, is that they look at every part. So if you have a really good essay, a really emotional essay that really captivates the admissions officers, but maybe your scores aren't on par, they would let you go with that. They would take your essay into more consideration, um, as opposed to like maybe in China or India where they only look at essays. I mean, sorry, where they only look at grades. Like in China, there's the Gaokao, I think, and that's basically a test that determines really whether you're going to a top college or not. So having this opportunity to have every part of your application reviewed thoroughly is a good opportunity in the US for people who maybe don't have good grades, or maybe are not good at writing, to actually consider the top colleges here. And so tuition is also a thing everyone should look at too. Some colleges are need aware. Being need aware means that when you're applying, they actually take your income, your financial status into consideration. So an example of this would be like NYU and Washington University in St. Louis. We didn't go over those universities, but they are need aware. That means they look at your tuition, and when they look into tuition, it's not a good or bad thing, but it just means that they will actually most likely take people who actually have a higher income, and that's the reality of it. It's not always true, of course, but people who have a maybe application that's not on par but a high income, they might actually consider over people who have a good application but a low income. And that's just how need aware institutions are. Not all need aware institutions are like that, but if you check the student bodies for those schools like NYU, Washington University at St. Louis, they have a very high population of wealthy students. And yeah, I don't really have to explain that. You can just look at the statistics for those things. So yeah, those are all things to consider. And if there's any questions.
Yeah, so with that being said, this sort of concludes our college night. So if you guys have any questions, you can drop them into the chat. And Brian, you can give your email because you know more about the process, at the moment than anyone here. So anyone can reach out to Brian.
Yes, I dropped my email in the chat. So if anyone wants to email me, feel free anytime.
And Ethan just dropped the attendance forms for the major night and the college night. So in order to get your points, please fill those out. So if you guys have any questions or comments in regards to SNHS or whatever we covered today, feel free to unmute and ask. Okay, Ethan can answer Lauren's question.
Oh, okay, so Lauren asked how many points is it? I think we're gonna give around 15 points.
For each, so.
No problem.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
If you want, yeah, you can just log out or stay after a while to ask questions if you have any.
Yeah, I know it's very long, and but I hope it was informative. I see someone said it was very informative. Thank you for that. So we hope that you got something out of this. If you're a freshman or sophomore, good luck on selecting a major. If you're upperclassman, a junior, this college panel I hope it was really informative for you guys. Looking at tuition of schools, the acceptance rate, maybe even exploring new colleges, because when I was a junior, I didn't know of many colleges. So it's always good to get a head start.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too.
Thank you.